Sports.
Andy, first time in 4 years, his defense is not going to have Troy Dye on the field. Your thoughts on Isaac and the opportunity he has and filling in for him, and what can you say about the battle between Sewell and Drew Mathis as well? What's making that tough to decide?
Isaac, starting off with Isaac, Isaac's done a tremendous job. Number one, in understanding that position, every single day being effective, helping run the defense from that position on the field, making his plays in the run game, in the pass game. We're really excited about, his opportunity to play that position. And then obviously, yes, to the field side with Drew and Noah battling out. They'll both play. They both do a good job. Obviously, they have their strengths, and we'll make sure we'll play to those. And as we continue to build, keep building on the weaknesses. But we're really excited about that core and the depth we have there. Todd, you're on mute.
Andy, we talked about the flexibility in the secondary that could allow you to do some rather exotic things, but in the front seven, it might be more important this week, just by the way Stanford plays. I think at times last year you employed a 4-4 or 5-2 against these guys and caused a lot of disruption. What does some of the flexibility of a Dorless or a KT or a Ajax on the edge allow you to do? And how were you so effective in creating disruption last year against Stanford?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're going to play a lot of different personnels, and being able to match those personnels, whether it be speed on the field or they put their bigger bodies on the field. And, we've got to be able to match our personnel to theirs. And when they put their bigs on the field, we got to put our bigs on the field. When they put their speed on, we got to put our speed on. And ultimately it comes down to handling our process and the operation and the pre-snap to handle all those different looks and be able to execute our responsibilities.
Eric Scopel, 247 Sports.
And I probably wasn't the only one surprised to see KT atop the SAM depth chart. How long has that been in play, and what kind of gives you the confidence he can do that, and how has that impacted his practice habits?
He played that position at the end of last year as well. He got some snaps at that in the Rose Bowl. So he's been doing it since last year. Obviously, we feel good about the depth there with him and Ajax at that position there, and being able to again match the personnel that we're getting, from the offense. And he's done a really good job of it.
Ryan Thorburn, the Register Guard. Go ahead, Ryan. Sorry, I muted you. There you go.
Yeah, sorry about that, Andy. What's your scouting report based on fall camp of your own quarterbacks, Tyler and Anthony? What do each of them bring to the table, since it's still unclear exactly who we're going to see at the beginning of the season? Yeah,
and it'd be undue fair to our program if I gave a scouting report on our quarterbacks, brother. You know what I'm saying? So they've done a tremendous job. I mean, Tyler's done an awesome job, and AB's done a great job. Coach Moorhead's done an unbelievable job getting the offense rolling and, given all the situations we've had this year. And we're excited. We're excited about those guys and the offense, and, can't wait to see them.
Kevin Wade, 247 Sports.
Coach, was just curious. Yesterday, Mario said that Stanford's wide receivers could be some of the best you face this year. What have you seen from scouting them?
Well, the size speed combination, they got a lot of length at that position. Traditionally they have, and the speed that goes with it now, it's going to be a huge challenge. They got guys that obviously run the deep routes really well from inside positions, outside positions, and also the intermediate routes. And so we're going to have our hands full. It is going to be one of the best wide receiver groups that we've seen in a long while.
Tyson Alger, The Athletic.
For your guys, is the secondary just throughout camp and now here going into week one, just how much did it mean to have Diamador and having like a leader, like just a veteran presence like that back, and just what are his goals for this year?
Diamador's done an unbelievable job, and Diamador, number one is a leader in his mentality and his positive impact every single day. And the way his game is already developed, you can see a difference in Diamador and Demo's play on the field right now. He looks different, even his improvements from last year. And ultimately, that's what you would want to see is continued growth. And so we're really excited about, what he's done at his position and how he's growing. And then obviously how he's helping, build our culture.
Warren Williamson, Oregon Duck Football News.
Sorry. Andy, I want to step away from football just for a moment. Election day, how important is it to you as mentors and coaches to talk to your young men about today's importance, voting, and how engaged have they been over these last few days about that process?
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, I think with the way the process works, currently a lot of the guys have already taken care of that prior to today in terms of the voting and stuff. And the registration to get signed up to vote, we were way out in front of that with 100% of our team registering to vote, and each of the position coaches, jumping out in front of that way back in the beginning of September, and checking with all our position groups and making sure guys were going through the necessary steps and understanding the steps and providing them. Our operations program here is provided our football team, student athletes with all the information they've needed, from registering to information on who they're voting for, whether it be, and we've even tried to, as the local levels, from where they're voting. Not everybody votes for the local level here. These young men come from all over the country. And so there's a lot of information that from the end of August to now that I believe our program's done a tremendous job putting together to help educate, the young men in this program to have an impact.
AJ Jacobson, Rivals.
Coach, against Stanford, the middle of that defensive line could be just playing a crucial role. Talk about the nose tackle position with Jordan and Popo and the depth there and what you're seeing out of them in practice.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, those guys have played a ton of football for us. They understand what it takes. Number one, how to prepare and how to get yourself ready. Obviously, the game experience on the field. And another guy to add to that mix, too, is Christian. Christian Williams has had a really, really good camp. We're very excited about what he brings to the table as well. So, Jordan and Popo and Austin and those guys, they've done a tremendous job in this camp. They know what it needs to look like. They know what it needs to be like to prepare and what it's going to be like on game day.
Bill Breaker, KWVA.
I wanted to go back to that nickel position. Everyone's been raving about Jamal Hill, but Bennett Williams was the name that came up early in camp, and you've obviously coached Happel. Wanted to hear about the competition between Happel and Bennett, because we see an aura there.
Yeah, no question. So, Bennett's done a nice job as well. I mean, Jamal, we're really excited about what he's doing at the nickel position, and continuing to grow as he gets more and more experience. And obviously Bennett helps us with the depth there. And we're really excited about what Bennett's doing there, and the more and more Bennett plays that position as well, that's going to give us two really, really good guys there. Obviously Happel has the flexibility to play two positions to the field side there.
James.
Andy, since you faced Costello last year and their running back changes as well, what were some of the more applicable games to watch with Mills at quarterback and analyzing these running backs who you guys just didn't see very much of? And they claim to be 5 deep at running back, but you really only faced Scarlett and one guy for like 3 carries.
Yeah, no question. That's obviously a good question. It's a different quarterback this year. The personnel is going to be a little bit different for them. They've obviously lost their tight end that was a huge target for them for a few years there. And so being able to, watch those games when, obviously when their current personnel towards the end of the year that was in there, and seeing how Mills played, and, he's a tremendous quarterback that has a great arm, makes the deep throws at intermediate, and he can run. And so, that's something that's a little bit different than last year for us, is that, he will get out of the pocket and move when he has to, and he can do it well.
Eric Scopel.
Andy, Mario yesterday was pretty high on, or maybe it was Saturday, on Keon and Christian in the camps those two had. Sounds like that's really added some depth there. It seems like the future is really bright in the interior. Kind of, what are your impressions of them, and kind of what stood out to you?
Yeah, those guys have had tremendous camps. Obviously, with the situation in spring ball and getting cut short there, those guys they didn't get that opportunity to continue developing, but they trained hard through the course of the things that we went through, and um, a very noticeable difference in their play and how they operate, the twitch they have, the way they're playing blocks, the way they're coming off blocks, and so we're really excited about that crew and the guys that came in last year, those freshmen.
Matt Preem.
Andy, at the beginning of camp, you said the goal was to try and find about 25 guys from a depth perspective. I'm curious now through fall camp, how close are you to that, and what's your confidence level in the depth you have?
Yeah, we have. We're there. We got to continue growing in some spots, but we definitely feel good about where we're at going into this week in our preparation and the guys we have. And obviously, again, we got to face a lot of personnel groups. So we got to have personnel groups that match, and we're confident with the guys within those groups. The two deeps we have going into the game, and obviously being able to grow forward. It doesn't stop here. We got to keep growing every practice, every week.
Brian Thorburn.
Andy, Mario was saying the other day that one of the challenges of playing Stanford is they shorten the game and keep Oregon from having, a limited number of plays. Their offensive line similar. They had a key opt-out. They've recruited well there. What are you kind of expecting from Stanford's offensive lines, which traditionally are pretty good, but kind of struggled last year?
They're going to grow. They're going to be really physical this year. We believe that they're going to be a physical presence up front. Traditionally, they have, and that's what we expect. And so we're going to have to play tremendously well up front. We're going to have to really hone in on our techniques and make sure that we're doing everything we can to win our one-on-ones up front. And then obviously, they're very capable. They're athletic. That's they're a good screen team. They do well in protections, and I would bet the money that they've developed over the course of the offseason, and it's going to be a really good O-line.
Aaron Heisen, KWVA.
Yeah, Andy, with so many new faces looking to make an impact for the defense right away, how are you planning to put some of these younger guys like Sewell, Dante Manning, or Justin Flo in positions to succeed early against Stanford and in the future, I guess?
Well, I mean, right now we're worried about Stanford, and preparing for this game. And obviously they each have their packages and things that, they're doing well right now where they can hop in there and get their taste of college football and help this defense and help this team win, as well as special teams. And so those guys are prominent players on special teams and obviously being within the two deep on defense as well. So we're really excited. This will be their first live action underneath the lights. And so they've prepared really hard for this, and we'll be excited to watch them play.
Last question for Coach Avalos goes to James Carpia.
Andy, just a contingency question for you. We'd asked Mario about in the unlikely event somebody were to be out on a Saturday due to a test. He said there's plans for the coaches. I understand, obviously, Joe's been a head coach before. Bobby's been a head coach before. They're going to be on the sidelines. But you're up in the box, and Keith was there with you last year. Nobody else has called the defense before. Can you share what the contingency is in the highly unlikely and let's all hope event that never happens, and you're unable to be there for some reason? Yeah,
I mean, you prepare for everything. We train for all different scenarios. Obviously, given this situation this year, that has become a scenario we got to train for. And even before this, guys on the defense take turn calling it, whether it be at practice and play at periods or, in scrimmages, guys getting to do those things. So I can't share exactly the contingency plan, but we have prepared for it and guys have done that. I mean, it's something that we typically do regardless of the situation of 2020 with the COVID and things like that. That's just something we always do. So coaches are engaged, they get their opportunity to do it as well, and everyone's continuing to grow forward.
Thank you, Coach Avalos. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good day.